Hi, my name is Gaelle Lacroix, and I will be talking to you about sex trafficking and the John perspective. 20.9 million adults and children are bought and sold worldwide for commercial sexual servitude. 2 million of those are children. Let's think about that for a second. These are very harsh numbers and very shocking statistics. What is sex trafficking? Sex trafficking is human trafficking for the purpose of sexual exploitation, including sexual slavery. A victim is forced in one way of a variety of ways into a situation of dependency on their traffickers, and then used by said traffickers to give sexual services to customers. There are three types of activities defined as sex trafficking crimes: acquisition, transportation, and exploitation. This includes child sex tourism, domestic minor sex trafficking, or other kinds of commercial sexual exploitation of children, and prostitution. Sex trafficking is one of the biggest criminal businesses, and it has been described as the fastest growing criminal industry in the world. Sex trafficking is a huge part of human trafficking. Adults and children are forced or manipulated into the sex industry with no hope of getting out of that life. To me, this is a form of modern day slavery, sex slavery, that is. Who are the victims? Anyone can be a victim: women, men, minor children, the elderly, and even people with disabilities. Runaway youth and LGBTQ identifying youth are viewed as easy targets and at higher risk. Victims come in the form of prostitutes, escorts, and mail-in brides. Victims are viewed as personal property to their pimps, and their job is to simply make a certain amount of money each night. Victims are most likely turned into drug addicts and are often abused. Victims in the United States have been found working in brothels, massage parlors, and strip clubs. Sometimes the victims are the people that we talk to on a daily basis and we don't even realize it. That's why it is important to ask questions and pay attention to the signs, and also to learn the signs of a victim. Who are Johns? Johns seek sex from the victims and they pay for it. They are the industry's biggest supporters, and one of the reasons why sex trafficking is such a lucrative business. Johns come from all socioeconomic classes. They may be stockbrokers, truck drivers, teachers, priests, or even law enforcement officials. Many of them are married with children. Now you may be asking yourself, why do Johns pay for sex, especially if they are typically married? Well, research shows that Johns pay for sex due to sexual frustration, hedonists who want to live their erotic fantasies in a red light setting. They pay for sex to appease a sexual appetite, and many men feel freer to experiment within the context of commercial sex than with their girlfriends or wives. According to an article called Why Men Buy Prostitutes, a psychologist from the international advocacy group sat down with 700 Johns in several countries to learn why they pay for sex, and the study illuminated some personal stories of loneliness to pure desires. One John stated that it was no big deal. It was like getting a beer. Another says, we're living in the age of instant coffee, instant food. This is instant sex. Another even says that he feels sorry for these girls, but this is what he wants. Now, what do you think Johns feel like would stop this? Most of them told researchers that they would be deterred if the current laws were implemented. A lot of them said fines, public exposure, such as being a registered sex offender, employers being informed. When asked what would end prostitution and pay for sex, one interviewee laughed and said, "Kill all the girls." Discovering that the women were trafficked, hint, or coerced was not effective for them to stop paying for sex. Almost half said that they believe that most women in prostitution are victims of pimps, but they will still continue to visit them. Aside from laws and regulations, there is some actions implemented to help stop John, and that is John schooling. John School is a form of educational intervention aimed at clients of prostitutes. John School acts as an alternative to criminal prosecution. The first John School was started in 1955 by the San Francisco District Attorney Office. Programs can be as brief as a few hours or as intensive as 10 weeks. John School is for the first-time male offenders who volunteer for the program. They are required to attend an 8-hour seminar on the negative consequence of prostitution, the criminal justice system, the prostitute themselves, and the possibility of jail sentence. Now that you've seen some information about sex trafficking and information about the Johns of sex trafficking, please, if you suspect any activity on sex trafficking, please feel free to report this to the National Human Traffic Hotline. The number for this is 1-888-373-7888. You can also report any activities to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and that number is 1-800-843-5678. I hope this presentation will open your eyes and help save lives of adult women, men, children, and exploited youth. Thank you.